Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit more shorter-term technical analysis on Bitcoin, because in the last couple of hours, as you can see here on the hourly chart, Bitcoin has actually broken bullish. And if you'll remember back to what we said in yesterday's video, I gave Bitcoin about a 55% chance of breaking bearish here, moving down towards $6,000, and a 45% chance of breaking bullish here and moving to the upside. And in that video, I said before I make a whole lot of calls on what Bitcoin is going to do, I want to see what it does in relation to $7,400 here. And one thing I also didn't mention in that video is this consolidation pattern right here. I wanted to see how Bitcoin would break out of or test resistance and fall from both of those levels. How is Bitcoin going to move in the next 12 to 24 hours is what I was talking about. And it looks like Bitcoin actually broke bullish. That's why I was kind of holding off on our major predictions to see what would happen. So in today's video, guys, we're going to be analyzing this breakout and talking about what this means for Bitcoin over the next couple of days, because there are a lot of technical indicators that have swapped from bearish to bullish following this nice move here on Bitcoin that constitutes about a 12% move in the last 12 hours or so. All right, guys, we're going to be diving on into it. So if you do enjoy today's video, definitely consider dropping a like, hitting that subscribe button, and smashing that notification bell, guys. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into it. As you guys know, Bitcoin is trading around $8,150 or so, and it's up around 12% over the last couple of hours. Bitcoin for a time here was actually rather bearish. We ran all the way up to $8,400 and moved to the downside. We caught this bearish candlestick on camera, actually, and we used that in a time lapse 2 days ago. But if we come out into the daily chart, this looks very interesting. As you can see here, Bitcoin's been rallying, and a lot of people, including myself, were thinking that, okay, maybe we're going to see a little bit more bearishness now. Maybe we're going to see Bitcoin crash a little bit more, and we'll see some of that bullish exuberance blow off. The bears will get their chance, and then Bitcoin will resume the rally in a couple of days or so. Doesn't look like that's what's going to happen based on this green candlestick. That's a very big candlestick, and as you guys can see, Bitcoin came down here on the wick and tested the 20 exponential moving average right here almost perfectly. That's actually kind of remarkable how well that tested that. And the fact that Bitcoin got support on that on the wick and not even on the candle body does indicate longer term bullishness over the next couple of days on into the next week or so. That's what I mean by longer term in that scenario. One thing out here on the daily chart that I want to point out actually has to do with the Heikin-Ashi candlesticks. If you guys aren't familiar with the Heikin-Ashi candlesticks and you are in the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, go here to the video on how to use Heikin-Ashi candlestick charts. This is a very good video where we go over exactly what Heikin-Ashi is and why it's so very useful and how to read it, all of that good stuff. But in this video, I want to discuss what we've seen here on Heikin-Ashi. When Bitcoin is in an uptrend, one of the things I like to see is not just that it's above the 20 exponential moving average. What I'm about to say here is the kind of stuff I normally talk about in CT2A. I don't get into this in normal videos. When I'm looking for uptrends and downtrends, a lot of times I like to see if Bitcoin's above the 20 EMA. But I also like to see how it's reacting with the actual Heikin-Ashi chart. Is Bitcoin green on the Heikin-Ashi or is it red on the Heikin-Ashi? Bitcoin in the last couple of days turned red, and these 2 days I was rather bearish on Bitcoin, and that's part of the reason I was rather bearish on Bitcoin would have been the Heikin-Ashi. I didn't really talk about it a whole lot in the video because I had so much to get to in those videos, but these Heikin-Ashi candlesticks right here, these two red ones, were definitely part of what was coloring my bearishness. As we can see here, there were no wicks on top of the candlesticks right here. There are no wicks on top of the candlestick right here. I know the plural. There was a tiny one right here, but it wasn't a whole lot. And this definitely did indicate bearishness for Bitcoin. If you remove this candlestick right here, this does look like the beginning of a new downtrend. But of course, like I've said in many videos in the last week or two, when you have as much bullishness in the market as we do right now, when people are as excited as they are right now, sometimes the technical analysis isn't going to play out exactly the way you think it will. And that's why it's so hard to make predictions during times like this. So I suppose you could say I was wrong by saying we have a 55% chance of breaking bearish, or you could also just say that I'm a meteorologist and said that Bitcoin was going to break bullish, and that it did that as well. There's a lot of different ways you can look at that, but I think what's important is understanding here that Bitcoin has one, broken bullish, and two, that it is hard to predict Bitcoin in these times, so you want to be prepared for both scenarios. That's why in these videos I like to lay out, here's the bullish scenario, here's the bearish scenario, and what's implied when I do that is I want you guys to go do your own technical analysis and make your own decision based off of what I've said and what other YouTubers have said, what your own TA and research has said, and also be prepared for both scenarios. A good trader will be happy when Bitcoin moves to the upside, or when it moves to the downside. Because here's what a good trader will do when Bitcoin enters consolidation like this. They'll have a long position opening right here, where if Bitcoin starts breaking out, then they'll buy up, and then they'll hold on to it, and then they'll sell up here somewhere. And if it breaks bearish, then they'll have a short position open right here, and when it falls through, they'll short it. And you can basically just invariably make money doing that. If you know what you're doing and you do it right, it's not quite that simple. We talk about that in a couple of videos in here too, that kind of trading. If you do trades like that, you're very rarely going to lose money in the Bitcoin market if you know what you're doing and you set them up correctly, which is why I always tell you guys, protect yourself, protect yourself, protect yourself, protect yourself. You need to be able to operate in both directions, bullishness and bearishness. Excuse me, guys. Apologies for that. Either way, Bitcoin has broken bullish here, and there's a couple more technicals that I want to talk about. I do have a road trip to go on in about an hour, so I apologize that this video is a little less formal than the normal ones. We're, of course, going to be getting back to normal content in the next couple of days. Anyway, as we can see here, Bitcoin started going bearish on the MACD. This is one thing I've been wanting to talk about. Bitcoin started going bearish here on the MACD. It was curving down on itself. We saw this very clearly here on the histogram. Bitcoin was ridiculously bullish for the entire month of May here on the histogram. Never once did Bitcoin start looking even more bearish. It was nothing but an exponential run on the histogram. As you can see, when the candlestick is white rather than this kind of light red color or whatever color that is, then that means that the lines are getting closer. And when we're moving back down towards zero on the histogram, that means that they're getting closer as well. But actually here in the last day on this new candlestick, Bitcoin's histogram is getting further away from zero again because the MACD has bounced. The MACD has gotten support, if you will. And the MACD line is moving to the upside. The signal line still is too. But now they're actually diverging again, which is a bullish thing for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin can close this daily candlestick up here, stay up here, and continue moving up for the next couple of days, that's a good thing. And that means that the MACD is going to be on our side as well, because the MACD, even though it's that far away from zero, always has more room to run, guys. You can always see a lot from the MACD. One thing we also want to talk about out here on the daily chart, stochastic RSI. Stoch RSI is sitting down here around 10 to 15, 20 level right now, down in oversold territory. And this is actually a pretty good thing when Bitcoin's moving to the upside. Now, I've talked about in many videos, and I talk about this in videos in the course, you don't really want to read these oscillators by overbought and oversold signals. Contrary to what you may believe, that's not really the way to read them. The way to read them is actually on the crosses. That's where you want to get your information on things like this. But you can read overbought and oversold signals if the market is already moving in the direction that that signal would predict. So let me give you an example of that, because that was a bit of word soup. As we can see here, Bitcoin's RSI on the Bitcoin stochastic RSI is sitting in oversold territory. You wouldn't necessarily just want to take that as a bullish sign and trade off of that, though, because if we look out here to the weekly chart, Bitcoin has been oversold or overbought on the stochastic RSI for nearly the entire year, and that hasn't caused a pullback yet. So you want to be careful trading based off of that. But when Bitcoin is already moving in the direction that oversold or overbought signal will predict, then you can use it a little bit. Bitcoin's already moving to the upside now over these last 12 to 24 hours, and this oversold signal on the Stoch RSI does give us more room to run, so that is something you'll want to consider. That is definitely a bullish thing. One more thing I want to discuss has to do with the daily RSI. We're going to cover all three of our oscillators down here. Bitcoin has had an uptrend here on its RSI for a very long time, and I've been worried that Bitcoin is going to eventually break this, and that it's going to lead to a new downtrend. Maybe it was going to be broken and lead us down to $6,000 yesterday. Doesn't look like that's what's going to happen. Bitcoin has been testing this ever since December of last year, guys. This is a long-term pattern that Bitcoin has been respecting, and Bitcoin actually came down and bounced off of it here in the last couple of days. When Bitcoin came down to around $7,200, Bitcoin bounced off of it, and we're back in overbought territory. So eventually, this is going to be this is going to be a contributing factor to a pullback on Bitcoin. It is going to be a contributing factor to a correction on Bitcoin. Eventually, Bitcoin is going to break that. Again, that's not a matter of opinion either. That's a matter of fact, because this is going to run above 100 on the RSI, and RSI can only go to 100. So we are going to break that eventually. But whether or not that's going to be a major big bad for Bitcoin, if it's going to be hugely bearish for Bitcoin, we'll see what happens when that happens. But for right now anyway, this is actually giving support to Bitcoin, which does give a little bit of credence to the bullish argument once again. And guys, before we wrap the video up, because this is going to be a little bit of a shorter one, I do apologize. Before we wrap the video up, I do want to mention that Bitcoin is in a very exuberant moment right now. Bitcoin is very exuberant. The Bitcoin bull market has just started. Everybody is hyped. Everybody's excited. Everyone's bullish. So you have to be able to attune your technical analysis to what Bitcoin is doing and what the people in the Bitcoin market are feeling like. Bitcoin is ridiculously bullish right now, so you have to use that in your technical analysis. There's a lot of exuberance here. So what your technical analysis may normally tell you, maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, 4 months ago, when Bitcoin was in a more neutral market and there were about as many bulls as there were bears, that kind of technical analysis is not what we need to be doing right now. Instead of having technical analysis where we have a median that's trading sideways like this, we need to have a technical analysis where the median's like slightly trending to the upside. What I mean by that is, if we're looking at support, it's an uptrend, it's not a flat level. You kind of get what I'm saying. It's hard for me to explain that, but we need to add more bullish bias to our technical analysis. We need to add a healthy dose of bullish bias into the soup so that we can actually get the meal prepared and we can feed all these people, because Bitcoin is very bullish right now. And sometimes that means that what normally would have been a bearish breakout on a normal market, like perhaps here where Bitcoin may have finished off this head and shoulders pattern and moved to the downside, what normally may have been bearish might not be bearish and instead be bullish, because we're at the beginning of a bull market, because everyone is so excited, because of the exuberance, because of the fundamentals, because everybody knows at this point that Bitcoin has started a bull market and everybody's looking forward to the future. So people are trying to get as much Bitcoin as they possibly can. I'm one of them. I'm not really helping in this. Well, I guess I am, because we want Bitcoin to go to the upside, so I guess I am helping. But either way, guys, that's one of the main things I want to there are two main things I want you to take away from this video other than the shorter term technical analysis. One, add more bullish bias to your technical analysis. I've tried to do that, and apparently I still haven't added enough, because you want to be careful about that. You have to find exactly how much bullish bias to add, and that's a very hard thing to do. That's something we cover in gut feeling down here, this video on gut feeling. It's very hard to do that because it's a hard thing to measure, but you do want to add a little bit more bullish bias to your technical analysis. And the second thing is, especially in times in the market like these, where it's so hard to predict what the market is going to do, and it's so hard to use your technical analysis sometimes to predict exactly how the market's going to move, you always want to be protecting yourself. If you saw yesterday's video and you saw me say there was a 55% chance that we would move to the downside, then you should have attuned that prediction if you were going to follow my prediction. Like I said, guys, I prefer you and I encourage you and I implore you to do your own predictions and do your own technical analysis and make your own trades based on your own information. But if you were to follow what I said in that video, I would implore you guys to have had a stop loss right here and then a buy order up here so that you could have been prepared for both scenarios. I should have gone over that in that video, and I do apologize for that. I'll try to do better in the future. But I want you guys to be careful because of those two things. Bitcoin is more bullish right now than it has been in a very long time. So we have to be able to use that in our TA. We have to get rid of all the bearishness that we've been using in our TA for so long that has been so accurate. We have to flip that, use more bullishness, and we'll have more accurate technical analysis. And second, we want to make sure that we're always protected from trades using stop losses and using the openings of long positions if we think Bitcoin has a chance of breaking bullish, so that we don't miss out on the opportunity cost of one of these rallies that just seem to come out of absolutely nowhere. Guys, I think 2019 is going to be a great year for Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is going to go to ridiculous levels, and there's going to be a video coming out on that tomorrow. Tomorrow is Monday. There is a pre-recorded video for Monday. There's not a pre-recorded video for Tuesday. I do apologize, but I should be home and ready to make a video on Wednesday. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for today's video. I'm not going to dive into it too much, but we are still running the sale on the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. If you are interested, links in the description. If you want to learn how to do technical analysis during these times, such as these, and learn how to read the market so that you can be prepared for the next Bitcoin bull market that is now starting, check the link in the description. Use the coupon code 20K2019 and you'll get 20% off the course price. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.